Okay, you asked for it. Well, some of you did. Or if you didn't, you would have. Comparing 3 of the new full-sized 10mm handguns from 3 of the biggest names in firearms. The Springfield Armory XDM Elite, the Smith & Wesson M&P, and the SIG Sauer X10. They're all very similar in their specs. Each one is optics ready. They all have 15-round capacity. So I took all of these guns to the range and I did some shooting. It was like a head-to-head. Most of a gun review is subjective in nature, opinions and thoughts and things like that. But I tried to include some objective tests that might be meaningful to you if you're looking for information on these 3 guns. First, how does each one manage recoil? I used the Mantis device to measure 5 shots from each gun and compare their averages. The number that interests me is the recovery time. I think this is the one number that kind of sums it up. Also, the other numbers can even be a little bit hard to interpret, like a negative muzzle rise, which makes no sense to me. The M&P performed best, getting back to the level muzzle orientation faster than the other 2 guns. So I'm going to trust the tool and say that it handles the recoil better overall. That said, I think the XDM had the most consistent geometry during recoil, meaning it's mostly straight up and down. Obviously, another measurement is accuracy. I shot a group of 5 shots from each gun at a distance of 15 yards, and let's take a look at that. Okay, so the next test is going to be to see how well I shoot each one of these guns, and to take me as much as I can out of the equation, I'm going to use a rest, and I'm going to shoot 5 rounds from each gun. And they're all going to shoot MagTech ammo, 180 grain MagTech. And I'm going to switch targets for each one. Instead of trying to use a multi-bullseye target, because I don't know how accurately my zero is on any of these guns. And I'm too lazy, quite frankly, to zero them all in. So I'm going to use one target for each one, change it in between. So that's the game plan. And I'm going to start out with the XDM. The distance is 15 yards, so it's no major stretch by any means, but it's just to give us an idea which one might shoot a little better if there's an accuracy difference. I just hope I'm on paper with this. Oh, I am. I'm low. I see that. The important thing is not where the group is, but how big the group is.
All right, so there are 5 rounds through the XDM. I will now change targets, and we'll do that again. All right, next up is the SIG X10, because that's what it says on the target. Holy cow, am I way high? Is that what I'm seeing? All right, I made a quick adjustment to the SIG, to the optic that's on the SIG, which is a SIG optic, by the way. Just enough to bring it down to make sure we have our entire group on paper. We can measure it later. Windage is still off a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right, now let's see if we can get 5 good holes in the paper, or maybe less than 5 holes. By the way, I'm using the same target, as you can see, and I just taped over the previous hits. Okay, there are those 5. Now, I will comment briefly before I even go and see what that group looks like. That first group was a nice group. I'll show you a tight in shot of that group, although, you know, most of them went on the cardboard, but still, it was not a bad group. All right, and bringing in number 3 position is the M&P. M&P 10 millimeter. And here we go. And it has a loophole sight on it. All right, there we go. And again, I can't see too well back here, but it looks like made a nice group in about the, what, 1 o'clock position.
So I had to redo the SIG group, but I left that in the video so that you could see the full test and not a watered down result. They all did very well, but the XDM was extremely good at just 1.25 inches. And with the exception of that one shot, all holes touching. The M&P group was also very good. The SIG seemed to have more spread, more space between the shots than the other 2. But any of these 3 are going to put your rounds on target.
Okay, I'm just going to put 10 more rounds through each gun. And while I'm shooting, I'm going to shoot them nice and slow, take my time, enjoy it, and try to tell you what I'm thinking about each gun, especially the trigger, how it feels in the hand as far as the ergonomics of the grip. All 3 of these guns are without any kind of enhancements. In other words, I don't have a Talon grip on any of them. This one, the XDM, needs it the most. I'll talk about that in a second. But it wouldn't hurt probably to put a Talon on all 3 of them. But I'll talk about those things while I'm shooting these last 10 rounds. Starting with XDM. Keep it in the same order. So first of all, it is a big gun. And as I already hinted, The grip texture is the slipperiest of all of them. It definitely needs help. It needs a Talon grip really bad. So I will do that very soon. The trigger is very nice. I mean, like, it's up there in the incredible category. Very, very nice trigger. Of course, I'm using an optic. I'm using the Hex Dragonfly optic, which is a Springfield Armory product as well. And it does a nice job. And the U-dot sights, the U-notch sight is one of my favorites. So, big thumbs up for the sights, both electronic and analog. And huge thumbs up for the trigger. Not quite so much for the grip texture because my hand's already slipping all over the place on it. And what else? I guess that's it. It's just, you know, it's a nice gun to shoot. Feels like it handles the recoil really well. We'll learn a little bit more of that when we look at the numbers from the Mantis. But from a perception point of view, it definitely feels like it handles the recoil really nice. Full-size gun. These are all very comparable size guns. All right, next up is the SIG. I think that's the order I was doing it in, wasn't it? Oh, that's all right. If not, I can edit this when I do the video. But anyway, next up is the SIG, and it is running the SIG Romeo optic. So like the XDM, I'm kind of keeping it in the brand family with the optic on the gun, and also a set of sights I really, really like. I mean, it's got those X-ray sights that I love, and they do co-witness pretty well. The grip texture is very good. Trigger is really, really good. No complaints with the optic. Again, I love the open sights on this gun. Feels good in the hand. It's a smaller frame, smaller handle to hold on to. That combined with the grip texture makes it a little nicer on a warm day like this. And again, not having looked at the numbers really yet, but it also feels like it's handling the recoil nicely. Yeah, I mean, it's a P320, the X10 SIG. It is a shooter, and it's a nice one. Okay, last but not least is the M&P 10mm, full-sized. Again, very comparable sizes. We'll look at the specs and the numbers on that. But the M&P, which has a loophole sight on it. And this one does have tall sights. They are like suppressor height sights, and they just almost co-witness, but this optic is not very friendly to co-witnessing. And well, this is the only gun so far today that's had that happen. So we had a bit of a failure to feed there. I'm going to put that round back in. Okay, let's press on, see if that's an anomaly or if it continues. The grip on the M&P is really, really good. I'm going to say it's the best of the three. It's better than the SIG because it's got more gripping texture, especially on the front strap, you notice. The trigger is the worst. of these 3 guns. It's got a lot of grit, a whole lot of grit in it. And it's just, there's a stiffness to the brake. It's got a nice reset. And it's a nice short reset and tactile. But it's just very gritty and a little stiff. So, those are my organic thoughts at the range, shooting these 3 guns.
Okay, subjective stuff in no particular order. The trigger is almost a close tie between the Springfield and the SIG, but I have to go with the XDM for the best trigger of the bunch. Even though the number's lighter, for the SIG, I like the way it feels better on the XDM. As I stated while shooting, the M&PS has the best grip texture, and the XDM has the worst. They all feel great in the hand, and they all have good controls and ergonomics. This is going to come down to personal preference. The M&P had one feeding problem, but I can't draw a conclusion from that, and you shouldn't either. That same round had trouble twice in a row, and no other rounds did, making me suspect the cartridge more than the gun. Sights are excellent on all of these guns, and each one is quite different. They all performed well with the red dots on them, but comparing the red dots is a completely different topic. Bottom line, these are 3 excellent quality 10mm handguns, all polymer framed and striker fired, something that was almost unheard of just a couple years ago. If you have a brand preference already, I say stick with it, and you'll be happy. If not, consider my results and my opinions and decide which factors are most important to you. Each one of these guns is best in some categories and worst in others. But make no mistake, they are all very nice. Thanks as always for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you don't already. Look down below for discount codes and affiliate links. I try to save you money on products that I truly love, and in some cases, those codes and links are going to help the channel out as well.